The bright dots of stars filled the view from the bridge of the Dauntless, Earth's most advanced spaceship. Captain Tay stood with his hands behind his back, watching the empty space ahead. His black uniform fit perfectly on his tall, strong body. His face showed no fear, but his eyes were sharp and ready. "Captain, we're getting a signal," said Officer Sun, her fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "It's not one of ours." Captain Tay nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The large screen at the front of the bridge flickered, then showed a strange face. It wasn't human. The alien had dark blue skin that looked like it was covered in small plates. Its eyes were yellow with thin black lines instead of round pupils. When it opened its mouth to speak, Tay could see rows of small pointed teeth. "Humans of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Commander Zelon of the Voidarian Empire. We have been watching your planet for some time. We wish to speak with your leaders." Tay stepped forward. "I am Captain Tay of the United Earth Defense Force. I can speak for humanity in this matter." The alien made a sound like metal scraping against stone. It was laughing. "Very well, Captain. My ship will meet with yours at these coordinates." Numbers appeared on a smaller screen. "Come alone, we have much to discuss." The screen went dark. Admiral Hana's face appeared on the screen minutes later from Earth Command. Her gray hair was tied back tightly, and her eyes showed worry. "Captain, we've tracked the alien signal. Their ship is massive, at least 20 times the size of the Dauntless. Do we have any information about these Voidarians?" Tay asked. "Nothing," Admiral Hana replied. "This is first contact, but our scanners show their technology is far beyond ours. Be careful, Tay. Don't make any promises. Just find out what they want." "Yes, Admiral." 6 hours later, the Dauntless approached the meeting point. When the Voidarian ship came into view, everyone on the bridge gasped. It was shaped like a dark purple arrowhead, so large it blocked out the stars behind it. "They could have sent a smaller ship," Officer Sun whispered. "This feels like they're trying to scare us." "That's exactly what they're doing," Tay said quietly. "Let's not give them the satisfaction of seeing our fear." A beam of light from the alien ship scanned the Dauntless. "Captain, they're requesting that you board their vessel alone," Officer Sun said. Tay nodded. "Prepare the shuttle. If I'm not back in 3 hours, return to Earth immediately." "But sir," "That's an order, Officer Sun." The inside of the Voidarian ship was cold and dimly lit. 2 tall Voidarian guards led Tay through curved hallways. They were even more intimidating up close, standing nearly 8 feet tall with powerful limbs covered in the same plate-like skin. They brought him to a large room with a round table in the center. High Commander Zelon sat on one side, his yellow eyes watching Tay carefully. "Please sit, Captain," Zelon said, pointing to a chair that seemed too small for the Voidarians, but was the right size for a human. Tay sat down, his face calm. "Thank you for meeting with me, High Commander. We are excited to learn about your people and your culture." Zelon's mouth formed what might have been a smile, but it looked more like a threat display. "Captain Tay, I will be direct. The Voidarian Empire spans over 200 star systems. We have encountered many species in our expansion. Some have become our allies. Others..." He paused. "Others did not make wise choices." Tay felt a chill but kept his expression neutral. "I hope humanity and the Voidarians can find common ground, for friendship." Zelon placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of Earth. "Your planet is rich in resources that are valuable to us. We have studied your species and your technology. You have potential, but you are far behind us." The hologram changed to show strange ships in orbit around Earth. "We are offering you protection. In exchange, we require 30% of your planet's resources." "Protection from what?" Tay asked. "The galaxy is full of dangers you cannot imagine," Zelon said. "Without our help, your species might not survive the next century." Tay leaned forward slightly. "And if we decline your generous offer?" Zelon's yellow eyes narrowed. The hologram changed again, showing Earth with large sections glowing red. "Those who refuse our protection face consequences. We would be forced To take what we need and establish direct control of your world. Zeelan's voice became colder. Many lives would be lost unnecessarily. Tay understood clearly. This was not an offer. It was a threat. How much time do we have to consider your proposal? Tay asked. 1 Earth week, Zeelan replied. We are being generous. Most species receive 1 day. Tay stood up slowly. I will bring your message to my leaders. Zeelan also rose, towering over Tay. You seem unusually calm, Captain. Most beings show more fear when they understand their situation. Is that so? Tay replied. I suppose different species react differently to new information. Zeelan moved closer, using his height to look down at Tay. Let me be completely clear, human. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your defenses cannot stop our attacks. Your only logical choice is to accept our terms. Tay looked directly into Zeelan's alien eyes. And if we refuse? The Voidarian's mouth stretched into that terrible not-quite smile again. Then your civilization will be remembered as another footnote in our history. He seemed disappointed by Tay's continued calm. Is that all you have to say? For now, yes, Tay replied. I need to report to my superiors. Back on the Dauntless, Officer Sun was waiting anxiously. Captain, what happened? What do they want? Set course for Earth immediately, Tay ordered. Maximum speed. As the ship turned away from the massive alien vessel, Tay looked at his crew. They want our resources. They've given us 1 week to surrender 30% of Earth's wealth and place ourselves under their protection. Otherwise, they'll take it by force. Can we fight them? Asked Officer Sun. Their ship alone could probably destroy our entire fleet, Tay said. But that doesn't mean we'll surrender. 3 hours later, Tay stood in the emergency meeting room at Earth Command. The walls were lined with screens showing the faces of world leaders. Admiral Hanna stood beside him as he finished explaining the Voidarian demands. They're confident we'll give in, Tay said. They believe we're weak because we didn't respond with immediate aggression or panic. What do you think their weaknesses are? Asked Admiral Hanna. Arrogance, Tay replied without hesitation. They're so sure of their superiority that they've already underestimated us, and they expect us to behave like other species they've encountered. The President of the United Nations Council nodded on the main screen. Captain Tay, what do you recommend? We have 1 week, Tay said. We should use every minute of it, not to prepare a response to their demands, but to prepare for war. Admiral Hanna smiled slightly. The Voidarians asked if that was all you had to say. They'll soon learn that humans say very little when they're busy making plans. Begin global mobilization, ordered the President. And let's show these Voidarians what happens when someone threatens Earth. As the meeting continued, Tay looked out the window at the blue sky. Soon, those skies might be filled with alien ships. But humans had faced extinction before. From disease, from each other, from natural disasters, each time they had survived. Is that all? The alien had asked. No, Tay thought. That was just the beginning. Dr. Day hadn't slept in 36 hours. The lights in her lab stayed on as the rest of the research building went dark. Empty coffee cups littered her desk. Her eyes were red, but they remained focused on the screens in front of her. Dr. Day? A soft voice called from the doorway. The Admiral is asking for an update. Dai looked up to see her assistant Jun holding yet another cup of coffee. She took it gratefully. Tell her it's working, Day said, taking a sip. The shield technology responds to the energy patterns we recorded from the Voidarian ship. In theory, it should adapt to their weapons. In theory? Jun asked. Day smiled slightly. We won't know for sure until they fire at us, but that's why we're testing it on the moon base first. On her main screen, a simulation showed energy beams hitting a bubble-like shield that glowed brighter with each hit. The key discovery wasn't how to block their weapons, Day explained, pointing to a smaller screen showing complex equations. It was how to absorb the energy and redistribute it. The stronger their attack, the stronger our defense becomes. Jun looked impressed. You developed this in just 5 days? No, Day shook her head. My team has been working on adaptive shield technology for years. We just never had a reason to rush it until now. She stood up and stretched her tired back. I need to speak with Commander Jin. His fleet will be the first to use these shields. Commander Jin walked through the corridors of his ship, the Swift Strike. It was much smaller than the Dauntless, built for speed and agility rather than diplomatic missions. The crew worked quickly around him, preparing for the coming battle. His communication officer called out, "Commander, incoming transmission from Earth. It's Dr. Day." Jin nodded and moved to the screen. Dr. Day's tired face appeared. "Commander Jin, we've uploaded the shield modifications to your ships," she said without greeting. "The system should integrate with your existing defenses." "Should?" Jin raised an eyebrow. "Will," Day corrected herself. "But remember, these shields work differently. They need to take a hit before they can analyze and adapt. The first shot from a new Voidarian weapon might get through partly, but the second will be blocked." Jin nodded. "So we need to make sure no first hit is fatal." "Understood." "There's more," Day continued. "Once the shields absorb enough energy, you can redirect it. Each ship in your fleet will have one powerful counterattack before the cycle begins again." "That could be the edge we need," Jin said. "Thank you, Doctor." After the transmission ended, Jin turned to his crew. "Position our fleet behind the moon. We need to surprise them when they come to attack the base." "Hi, Commander." Xelon stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the holographic display of Earth and its moon. Two smaller Voidarian ships hovered nearby. "The humans have built a small base on their moon," Xelon said to his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Vex. "We will destroy it as a demonstration of our power. Then they will understand the futility of resistance." "Is that wise, High Commander?" Vex asked cautiously. "We haven't received any response to our demands yet." Xelon made that scraping metal laugh again. "Their silence tells us everything. They are paralyzed with fear, unable to decide. This will help them choose correctly." "As you command," Vex bowed slightly. "The destroyer ships are ready." "Good. Begin the attack." On the dark side of the moon, Commander Jin's fleet of 12 ships waited silently. Each was armed with Dr. Day's new shield technology and Earth's best weapons. The crews were tense but determined. Jin received the alert from Earth's long-range scanners. 3 Voidarian ships were approaching the moon. "All ships, power down. To minimum systems," Jin ordered. "No transmissions. Wait for my signal." The human fleet went dark, nearly invisible against the black of space. Minutes passed in silence. "Commander," his sensor officer whispered, "Voidarian ships have entered lunar orbit. They're positioning to fire on the base." Jin nodded. "Get ready." On the main screen, he watched as 2 smaller Voidarian ships moved into position above the moon base. The ships were still enormous compared to his own, each nearly 5 times the size of the Swift Strike. A third larger ship hung back, watching. The Voidarian ships began to glow with purple energy. "Now," Jin ordered. "All ships, power up and move to defensive positions." From his command ship, Xelon watched in surprise as human vessels suddenly appeared from behind the moon, moving with unexpected speed toward his destroyers. "What is this?" he demanded. "The humans have ships defending their moon base?" "It appears so, High Commander," Vex replied, equally surprised. 12 small vessels. Our scanners didn't detect them." "It doesn't matter," Xelon waved his hand dismissively. "Our destroyers will eliminate them easily. Continue the attack." Commander Jin watched as the Voidarian ships fired their weapons. Brilliant beams of purple energy shot toward the human fleet. "Brace for impact," Jin called. "Shields at maximum." The energy beams hit the lead ships. Jin held tight to his command chair as the Swift Strike shuddered. The lights flickered, and warning alarms sounded briefly before falling silent. "Damage report," Jin called. "Shields at 92%, Commander," his officer reported, sounding surprised. "The shields are adapting to their energy signature. They're already more effective." Jin allowed himself a small smile. "Dr. Day's technology works. All ships, move to attack pattern Delta. Target the destroyer on the left." The human fleet split into 3 groups, moving in patterns that seemed chaotic but were carefully planned. The Voidarian ships fired again, but this time the human shields glowed brightly, absorbing the energy without damage. "Sir, shields are fully charged from their attacks," the systems officer reported. "Perfect," Jin said. "All ships prepare to return fire. Use the absorbed energy." On his command ship, Zalon watched in growing disbelief as his destroyer's weapons seemed to have less effect with each shot. The human ship's shields glowed brighter and brighter. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Why aren't they being destroyed?" "Unknown. High Commander," Vex replied, studying the readings. "Their shields are adapting somehow, and they appear to be gathering energy." "Impossible," Zalon hissed. "No species at their technology level could—" He was interrupted as the human ships suddenly released powerful beams of energy back at the left Voidarian destroyer. The combined attack hit with unexpected force, cutting through the destroyer's outer defenses. "Destroyer 2 is reporting severe damage to their primary systems," Vex reported, his voice tight with surprise. "The humans have weapons that can harm our ships." Zalon slammed his fist on the control panel. "How is this possible? They shouldn't have this technology." The human ships continued their coordinated attack, moving too quickly for the Voidarian targeting systems to lock on effectively. The damaged destroyer began to retreat. "Order both destroyers to withdraw," Zalon commanded. "This demonstration is over." As the Voidarian ships turned away, a transmission came through from the lead human ship. "Voidarian vessels." Commander Jin's calm voice filled the bridge. "You came to demonstrate your power. We thank you for the opportunity to demonstrate ours." There was a pause then. "Is that all?" Zalon cut the transmission with a roar of anger. Back on Earth, in the command center, Admiral Hana watched the battle data coming in. Captain Tay stood beside her. "Commander Jin's fleet performed admirably," she said. "Dr. Day's shields worked better than we hoped. The Voidarians are retreating." "They'll be back," Tay said, "and with more ships. This was just a test." Hana nodded. "Yes, but now they know we can fight back. Their arrogance will be their downfall." "We have 2 days until their deadline," Tay reminded her. "We need to prepare all of Earth's defenses." "Already happening," Hana said, gesturing to the screen showing activity around the globe. "Every nation is working together. Dr. Day's shield technology is being installed on all our ships in major cities." On another screen, the 2 Voidarian destroyers were shown retreating to their massive command ship. "They expected us to cower in fear," Hana said. "They didn't expect us to fight. Humans have been fighting since the beginning of our history," Tay replied. "It's probably the one thing all humans know how to do well." Admiral Hana looked at the retreating alien ships again and smiled slightly. "Let's hope the Voidarians learn that lesson quickly." High Commander Zalon paced the bridge of his command ship. His yellow eyes burned with anger. The failed attack on the moon base was 2 days ago, and the deadline for Earth's surrender would end in 12 hours. "Prepare all ships for battle," he ordered. "We will attack their orbital defense platforms first, then move to their major cities." Sub-Commander Vex approached cautiously. "High Commander, perhaps we should reconsider. The humans have shown unexpected luck," Zalon snapped. "Nothing more. Their shields will not save them from our full fleet. Gather our forces. We attack at once." 20 Voidarian warships moved into formation around the command ship. Together, they headed toward Earth, their engines glowing purple against the blackness of space. Major Saul checked her fighter systems one last time. Around her, 50 other pilots did the same in their small, agile ships. They waited inside Earth's largest space station, ready to launch. "Remember your training," Saul said over the comm system to her squadron. "The Voidarian ships are big, but they're slow to turn. Use that against them. Stay in your assigned groups, protect each other." "Major," one of the younger pilots called, "the enemy ships are 10 times bigger than ours. How can we fight them?" "We don't fight them head-on," Saul replied calmly. "We're not trying to destroy their ships. We just need to keep them busy and confuse their targeting systems long enough for our main defense fleet to position." On her screen, red dots appeared, moving toward Earth. "That's it," she said. "They're coming. All pilots prepare to launch on my mark." In Seoul, Engineer June worked frantically at the control center for Earth's shield network. Dr. Day had designed the technology, but it was June's job to make sure it worked on a global scale. Energy levels stable, he reported. Shield generators in all major cities are online and synchronized. Admiral Hana's face appeared on his screen. Good work, June. The Voidarians have begun their approach. They'll be in range of our orbital platform soon. The shields will hold, June assured her, but we still haven't tested them against their biggest weapons. Let's hope we don't have to, Hana replied. In space, the Voidarian fleet approached Earth's first line of defense. 12 orbital platforms equipped with Dr. Day's shield technology and heavy weapons. Target those platforms, Xelon commanded. Destroy them quickly. The Voidarian ships fired their plasma cannons. Brilliant beams of energy shot toward the human platforms. Platforms taking fire, a technician reported to Admiral Hana at Earth Command. Shields holding at 85%. Admiral Hana nodded. Launch Major Saul's fighters. From the space station, 50 human fighters burst forth like angry hornets. They were small compared to the massive Voidarian ships, but they moved with incredible speed and precision. Major Saul led her squadron directly toward the lead Voidarian vessels. Pattern Omega now. The human fighters broke into 5 groups, each following a different, unpredictable path. They weaved between the Voidarian ships, firing smaller weapons at their sensor arrays and weapon ports. Inside her fighter, Saul pulled hard on her controls, making a turn so tight that the G-forces pushed her deep into her seat. Her special flight suit squeezed her legs and torso, helping her body handle the pressure. Human pilots trained for years to withstand such forces. The Voidarian gunners struggled to lock onto the small, fast-moving targets. Their shots missed as the human fighters darted between their ships. What are they doing? Xelon demanded, watching the strange flight patterns of the human ships. They cannot damage our vessels with such small weapons. They appear to be confusing our targeting systems, Vex replied, studying the tactical display. And they're drawing our fire away from the platforms. Captain Tay watched from the bridge of the Dauntless as Major Saul's fighters kept the Voidarian ships distracted. His larger vessel, along with 20 others, moved into position behind Earth's moon. Major Saul is giving us the time we need, Tay said to his crew. Let's make it count. Prepare main weapons. We'll hit them from behind while their attention is focused on the fighters. In his control center, Engineer June suddenly sat up straight. Admiral, I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the Voidarian command ship. They're preparing to fire. Something much bigger than before. Admiral Hana's face showed concern. Can our shields handle it? I don't know, June admitted. The simulations suggest yes, but we're about to find out, Hana said. Alert all cities to prepare for possible impact. On his command ship, Xelon stood before a large control panel. Enough of these games. Prepare the Nova cannon. The front of the Voidarian command ship opened like a flower, revealing a massive weapon that began to glow with intense purple light. Target their largest city, Xelon ordered. Show them what happens when they defy the Voidarian Empire. The weapon charged, drawing power from the ship's main engines. The purple glow grew brighter and brighter. Major Saul saw the command ship's weapon charging. All fighters, fall back. They're preparing to fire their main weapon. Her fighters broke off their attack runs, racing back toward Earth's defense platforms. Admiral, Saul called over her comm, they're targeting the planet directly. In his control center, June worked frantically at his console, redirecting all shield power to the Asian sector. Everyone hold on. The Voidarian Nova cannon fired. A massive beam of energy, bigger than anything they had used before, shot toward Earth. It hit the atmosphere over Seoul, encountering the invisible barrier of Dr. Day's shield technology. The sky lit up with brilliant blue light as the shield caught and held the energy. June's monitors showed power levels rising dangerously. It's too much, he shouted. The shields are overloading. Then something unexpected happened. As Dr. Day had designed, the shields began to absorb and redistribute the energy. The blue glow spread across the sky, covering more of the planet as the shield system shared the load. It's working, June whispered in amazement. The shields are holding. On the Voidarian command ship, Xelon stared in disbelief. Impossible. Our Nova cannon should have pierced their atmosphere. High Commander, Vex called urgently. Human. Vessels approaching from behind the moon. Zelan turned to see Captain Tay's fleet emerging, weapons ready. At the same time, the energy that Earth's shields had absorbed was being redirected to the orbital defense platforms, which now glowed with power. All Voidarian ships. Captain Tay's voice came through on all frequencies. Your attack has failed. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Withdraw now, or we will be forced to demonstrate our own capabilities. Zelan slammed his fist down. Fire all weapons, destroy their fleet. The Voidarian ships turned to face the new threat. But they were caught between Tay's approaching fleet and the powered-up defense platforms. Major Sol's fighters regrouped and rejoined the battle, targeting the Voidarians' weapon systems with precise strikes. In Earth Command, Admiral Hana watched the battle unfold. Captain Tay, you have permission to use full force. Show them what happens when someone threatens our home. Tay's fleet fired, their weapons enhanced by energy redirected. From the shields, 3 Voidarian ships took heavy damage and began to retreat. The others found themselves surrounded as the human forces attacked from multiple directions. Zelan could not believe what he was seeing. His fleet, the pride of the Voidarian Empire, was being pushed back by a species they had thought primitive. How are they doing this? He demanded. How did they develop such technology so quickly? A transmission came through, and Admiral Hana's face appeared on his screen. High Commander Zelan, she said calmly. You threatened our homeworld. Did you expect us to do nothing? Zelan stared at the human leader. Your shields, your weapons. You couldn't have built them in 1 week. Hana smiled slightly. We didn't. We've been preparing for threats from space for decades. Your arrival just gave us a reason to finish what we started. As 5 more Voidarian ships began to retreat with heavy damage, Zelan realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had completely underestimated these humans. This is not over, he growled, cutting the transmission. Order all ships to withdraw, he commanded Vex. We need to regroup and reconsider our approach. As the Voidarian fleet pulled back, the human ships did not pursue. They formed a protective line around Earth, a clear message that they would defend their home no matter the cost. They are letting us leave, Vex observed with surprise. Yes, Zelan said thoughtfully. These humans are strange indeed. They fight with unexpected skill, yet show restraint when they have the advantage. His yellow eyes narrowed. I need to understand them better before our next encounter. From the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Tay watched the Voidarian ships retreat. Should we pursue? Officer Sun asked. No, Tay replied. We've made our point. They know now that Earth is not an easy target. The battle was over. For now, but everyone knew that the Voidarians would return. 3 days had passed since the Voidarians retreated. On the Dauntless, Captain Tay met with Admiral Hana and Dr. Day. They gathered around a holographic display showing the Voidarian fleet, now positioned behind Mars. They're regrouping, Admiral, Hana said. Our scouts report they've called for reinforcements. Next time they'll come with more ships. Then we need to act before their reinforcements arrive, Tay replied. We can't just wait for them to attack again. Dr. Day stepped forward. I've been studying the data from our battle. I found something interesting. She tapped on her tablet, and the hologram changed to show detailed scans of a Voidarian ship. Their technology relies heavily on quantum synchronization. It's what makes their weapons so powerful. And, Hana asked, and it's also their weakness. Day smiled slightly. Humans faced similar problems years ago when developing quantum computers. We learned how to stabilize quantum fluctuations. The Voidarians use a different approach, one that's vulnerable to targeted disruption. Tay leaned closer to the display. You're saying we can disable their ships? Not completely, Day explained. But we can disrupt their main weapons and communication systems. I've developed what I call quantum disruptors, small devices that, if placed on key points of their ships, will create localized quantum instability. Placed on their ships? Hana raised an eyebrow. You're suggesting we board their vessels? Tay nodded slowly. Not a full-scale boarding action. A small specialized team could infiltrate their command ship while our fleet distracts them. I want to lead that mission, Tay said firmly. Admiral Hana looked concerned but nodded. Who else do you need? Lieutenant Gook checked his equipment. One last time. He was young but had trained for years in special operations. Around him 4 other specialists prepared for the mission. Min the computer expert, Han the engineer, One the medic, and Lee the security specialist. Is everyone clear on the mission? Gook asked. They all nodded. The plan was dangerous but simple. While Earth's fleet engaged the Voidarians, they would sneak aboard the command ship using a modified shuttle with experimental cloaking technology. Once inside, they would plant Dr. Day's quantum disruptors at key points and gather any intelligence they could find. Captain Tay is waiting for us in the launch bay, Gook said. Let's move. High Commander Zelan stood before the gathered captains of his fleet, his yellow eyes cold with anger. Our first attacks failed because we underestimated their technology and tactics, he said. That will not happen again. Our reinforcements will arrive in 4 days. Until then, we will maintain our position and analyze their defenses. High Commander, one of the captains spoke. Should we not consider diplomatic options? These humans have proven more formidable than expected. Zelan glared at the captain. The Voidarian Empire does not negotiate after being defied. We will crush these humans and take what we need. Their resistance has only delayed the inevitable. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. High Commander, Sub-Commander Vex called from his station. Human fleet approaching. 25 vessels moving into attack formation. Zelan was surprised. They dare to attack us here? Order all ships to battle positions. From the bridge of the Dauntless, Admiral Hana watched as the Earth fleet moved toward the Voidarian position. Major Saul's fighters led the way, flying in. Complex patterns designed to confuse enemy sensors. All ships maintain formation, Hana ordered. Remember, our goal is not to destroy them, but to keep their attention focused on us. Give Captain Tay the time he needs. Captain Tay sat beside Lieutenant Gook in the small, modified shuttle. The cloaking technology made them invisible to Voidarian sensors, but it wouldn't last long once they were inside the enemy ship. Approaching. The command ship's lower hull, Tay said quietly. Their attention is on our fleet. This is our window. The shuttle moved silently toward the massive Voidarian vessel. Dr. Day had identified a maintenance hatch that they could use to enter. Gook operated the specialized cutting tool as they reached the hull. Beginning entry now. The space around Mars lit up with weapon fire as the human and Voidarian fleets engaged. Major Saul's fighters darted between the larger alien ships, drawing their fire while the bigger human vessels launched targeted strikes at the Voidarians' weapon systems. Keep them busy, Sewell ordered her pilots. Captain Tay needs at least 30 minutes. Inside the Voidarian command ship, Tay led his small team through dark, curved corridors. They moved quietly, using handheld devices Dr. Day had created to detect and avoid Voidarian life signs. First target ahead, Min whispered, looking at her scanner. Power distribution node for their main weapons. Tay nodded to Han, who moved forward with one of the quantum disruptors. The small device looked simple, just a metallic disc with a glowing blue center, but it contained complex technology designed to create controlled quantum instability. Han placed it against the wall near a cluster of pulsing energy conduits and activated it. The disc's light changed from blue to purple as it bonded with the ship's systems. 1 down, 3 to go, Tay said. Let's move. High Commander Zelan watched, in frustration as the human fleet evaded his ship's main weapons. Something about their attack pattern felt wrong to him. They're not pressing their advantage, he said to Vex. They're just keeping us occupied. Realization dawned on him. Scan the interior of our ship, now. The infiltration team had just placed their second disruptor when alarms began to sound throughout the ship. They know we're here, Gook said, checking his weapon. We need to hurry. Tay consulted the ship schematic Dr. Day had prepared based on their scans. The communications hub is 2 levels up. That's our next target. then the main engine control. As they moved toward a vertical access shaft, they heard the heavy footsteps of Voidarian guards approaching. "Hide," Tay whispered, pulling his team into a dark alcove. 4 tall Voidarian soldiers passed by, carrying weapons unlike those they had seen before. These looked more mechanical, less advanced. "Backup weapons," Gook commented quietly after they had passed. "They must be preparing in case our disruptors work." "Let's make sure they do," Tay replied. The team reached the communications hub, but 2 Voidarian technicians were inside. Lee moved swiftly, using a stun device to incapacitate them before they could raise an alarm. While Han placed the 3rd disruptor, Min accessed one of the Voidarian terminals. "Captain," she called softly, "you should see this." Tay joined her at the screen where Min had pulled up files showing dozens of planets. "These are records of their conquests," Min explained. "Look at the pattern. Almost every species surrendered after their first demonstration of force. The few that resisted were quickly overwhelmed." "They've never faced a serious challenge," Tay realized. No wonder they were so confident. As Min downloaded the data, Juan pointed to another file. "What's that?" Min opened it. It appears to be their core strategy. They rely on fear and intimidation. Most species they encounter have no unified planetary defense. They've never faced a united world before. Earth had centuries of conflict that eventually taught us to work together, Tay said. "Ironically, our history of war prepared us for peace." On the bridge, Xelon received confirmation that intruders were aboard his ship. "Find them," he shouted, "and bring their leader to me." Suddenly, the ship's lights flickered, and several control panels went dark. "What's happening?" Xelon demanded. "Unknown, High Commander," a technician replied frantically. "We're experiencing system failures across multiple sectors. Main weapons are offline. Communications with the fleet are disrupted." Tay's team was heading for their final target when a squad of Voidarian guards blocked their path. There was no place to hide this time. "Looks like we'll have to fight," Gook said, raising his weapon. The Voidarians fired first, using their mechanical backup weapons. The human team took cover behind a junction in the corridor and returned fire. "We need to get past them to reach the engine control," Tay said. "Cover me." As his team laid down suppressive fire, Tay moved quickly along the wall. The Voidarians were large and strong, but their size made them slower in the confined space. Tay used his smaller frame and quicker reflexes to advantage, sliding past their position and flanking them. From behind, he managed to stun 2 guards before they realized he was there. The others turned, dividing their attention, which gave Gook and Lee the opening they needed to advance. In close quarters, the humans found another advantage. They were used to physical combat. Years of sports and military training had made even average humans stronger and more agile than many alien species expected. The Voidarians relied heavily on their advanced technology and were less prepared for direct physical confrontation. Working together, the team subdued the guards and moved on quickly. "Final target ahead," Han said as they reached the engine control room. Inside, they placed the last quantum disruptor. As soon as it activated, they felt the ship shudder. "That's our cue to leave," Tay said. "Back to the shuttle." Throughout the Voidarian fleet, ships began experiencing system failures as the quantum disruption spread through their linked communication systems. Their coordinated attack fell apart as each vessel lost contact with the others. From the Dauntless, Admiral Hanna saw her opportunity. "All ships target their propulsion systems, disable but don't destroy." The Earth fleet moved in, focusing their fire with surgical pre. 1 week had passed since Captain Tay's successful mission. The 3 captured Voidarian cruisers had been brought to Earth orbit, where teams of scientists led by Dr. Day studied them day and night. The remaining Voidarian fleet had pulled back to the edge of the solar system, waiting for their reinforcements. In the main conference room at Earth Command, Admiral Hanna sat with world leaders, reviewing their options. "The Voidarian reinforcements will arrive in 2 days, she explained. "Our sources suggest at least 30 more warships. Even with the knowledge we've gained, we cannot win a prolonged war against their entire empire." "What about negotiations?" asked one of the leaders. They've seen we're not easy to conquer. Perhaps they'll listen now. Admiral Hana shook her head. High Commander Zelan has rejected all communication attempts. Their empire has never negotiated after being defied. It would damage their reputation with other conquered worlds. Dr. Day, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. There's something else you should know. She projected a hologram showing complex patterns of energy. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures of Voidarian technology. It's fascinating. They've developed completely different solutions to problems we've also faced. How does this help us? Someone asked. Their approach to quantum physics has solved problems that have stumped us for decades, Day explained. And our solutions to quantum stabilization would revolutionize their systems. Together, she paused. Together, our combined knowledge could advance both species by centuries. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. So, what are you suggesting? Admiral Hana finally asked. A different approach, Dr. Day replied. One the Voidarians won't expect. High Commander Zelan stood on the bridge of his damaged command ship. The last week had been the most humiliating of his long career. Never had he faced such resistance from a species that should have surrendered at the first show of force. Wing, Commander, Sub-Commander Vex approached. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's their Admiral Hana. Zelan considered ignoring it, but curiosity won out. Put it through. Admiral Hana's face appeared on the screen. High Commander Zelan, I request a direct meeting between our leaders. Zelan laughed harshly. Have you come to surrender at last? No, Hana replied calmly. We wish to discuss terms that would benefit both our species. The only terms I will accept are your complete surrender and the resources we came for. Zelan stated. Then you will lose much more than a few ships, Hana said. Our scientists have already learned much from your captured vessels. We are prepared to share what we've discovered with other species in the galaxy. I wonder how the Voidarian Empire will fare when everyone has our quantum disruptor technology. Zelan's yellow eyes narrowed. This was a threat he hadn't expected. One meeting, he finally said. On neutral ground, the Earth's moon base. Agreed, Hana nodded. Tomorrow at local noon, 2 representatives from each side. After the transmission ended, Vex turned to his commander. Is this wise? They could be planning a trap, perhaps, Zelan admitted. But something tells me these humans are not like any species we've encountered before. I want to understand them better before our reinforcements arrive. The moon base had been prepared for the historic meeting. In the main conference room, Captain Tay stood beside Admiral Hana, watching as the Voidarian shuttle landed in the base's docking bay. Are you sure about this approach? Tay asked quietly. No, Hana admitted. But Dr. Day is convinced it's our best option. And after seeing her shields in action, I'm inclined to trust her judgment. The doors slid open, and High Commander Zelan entered with Sub-Commander Vex. Even in the moon's lower gravity, their footsteps were heavy. They towered over the human representatives, their armored bodies making them look even more imposing. Admiral, Hana, Captain Tay. Zelan greeted them without warmth. You wish to speak, I am here. Thank you for coming. Hana gestured to the table. Please sit. The specially reinforced chairs creaked under the Voidarians' weight as they sat across from the humans. I'll be direct, Hana began. We have no interest in war with the Voidarian Empire. We believe there is a better path forward for both our species. Zelan made a dismissive gesture. If this is your attempt to beg for mercy, it is not, Hana interrupted firmly. We are offering you something far more valuable than the resources you came for. She nodded to an aide, who brought forward a small device and placed it on the table. Dr. Day had created it, a demonstration of human quantum stabilization technology. This contains information about our approach to quantum physics, Hana explained. It's only a small sample, but our scientists believe it would revolutionize Voidarian technology, particularly your faster-than-light travel systems. Zelan stared at the device suspiciously. Why would you share this? Because of what we found in your ships, Captain Tay replied. Your solutions to certain aspects of quantum mechanics are far beyond ours. We believe an exchange of knowledge would benefit both our civilizations more than conflict. Zealon laughed. You expect me to believe that you would rather share knowledge than fight? Yes, Hana said simply. Humans have fought enough wars among ourselves to know there are rarely true winners. We've learned that cooperation often yields greater benefits than conquest. Vex leaned forward, clearly interested despite himself. What exactly do you propose? An alliance, Hana said. A true partnership between our species. Joint research, projects, cultural exchange, trade of goods and knowledge. No surrender, no tribute, just mutual respect and cooperation. Zealon's expression was unreadable. In 3,000 years of the Voidarian Empire's expansion, no species has ever defeated our forces and then offered peace instead of demanding retribution. Perhaps that's why we've surprised you, Tay suggested. You expected us to behave as you would. 1 year later, Captain Tay stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Harmony, built with both human and Voidarian technology. Beside him stood Zealon, no longer High Commander but now Ambassador to Earth. The past year had seen remarkable changes. After initial skepticism, the Voidarian High Council had reluctantly approved the alliance with Earth. The combined scientific knowledge of both species had already led to breakthroughs neither could have achieved alone. We're approaching the Centauri system, Tay reported. First contact with the Proxians will begin in 1 hour. Zealon nodded, his yellow eyes watching the stars on the view screen. The first joint human-Voidarian diplomatic mission. The High Council is still not entirely convinced this approach will work. They'll learn, Tay said with a small smile. Just as you did. Zealon made the sound that Tay now recognized as a chuckle, not the hostile gesture he had once thought it to be. There is something I've wanted to ask you, Zealon said after a moment. What makes humans different from other species? Why did you offer peace when you could have continued fighting? Tay considered the question carefully. We've spent our history fighting ourselves, he finally replied. We know the cost of war and the value of peace, both learned through blood. When you asked, is that all? After threatening us, you didn't realize that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons or technology. It's that we've faced extinction before, by our own hands, and chose to be better. Zealon was silent for a long moment, absorbing Tay's words. Your species is young, the Voidarian finally said. Yet in some ways, wiser than those who have traveled the stars for millennia. The Voidarian Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds, but perhaps we have been the primitive ones all along. The view screen showed their destination growing closer, a blue-green planet where another civilization awaited first contact. This time, Tay said, let's try a different approach than threats and demands. Yes, Zealon agreed, his voice softer than Tay had ever heard it. Perhaps the question should not be, is that all? But rather, what more can we become together? As the Harmony approached the alien world, its crew, human and Voidarian working side by side, prepared to introduce a new way of making first contact, not with fear and intimidation, but with respect and a genuine desire to learn. The cycle of conquest that had defined the galaxy for thousands of years was breaking at last, and it had begun with a simple, defiant question from a species that refused to be cowed by threats. Is that all? No, it wasn't. It was just the beginning.